Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hope and Thomas were a hit with fans of The Bold and the Beautiful. Their chemistry was off the charts, and sparks flew from them like fireworks bursting in the night sky. In fact, it was around the 4th of July when Hope declared her independence from Thomas. Thomas, Matthew Atkinson, and Hope, Annika Noel, were in a passionate affair that started when she was married to Liam Scott Clifton. But Thomas wanted more. He finally got the love of his life, and he wanted to lock her down. Thomas had a ring and planned the most romantic proposal ever. Although she rejected his proposal, she agreed to wear his engagement ring around her neck. This reminded her of Thomas's love and devotion for her. But it wasn't enough to win her over. Hope wasn't ready to get married, even though Thomas was everything she wanted and then some. Unlike Liam, he was completely devoted to her. But Hope only loved the passion that they shared. She didn't want anything more. Thomas returned with Paris, Diamond White, and Douglas, Henry Joseph Samiri, just in time for the 4th of July party at the Forrester Mansion. Hope didn't like seeing the two together. Thomas tested her once more. He popped the question, and she still refused. He told her that he was going back to Europe with his new family. Hope was left broken-hearted, even though she claimed she made the right decision for herself. Time flies, but it was only a year ago when Thomas returned for a brief visit to Los Angeles. Hope has since found love with Carter Lawrence St. Victor. However, their relationship was far from perfect. The two were driven by their shared desire to take over Forrester Creations. But it didn't work in their favor. Carter ultimately returned the company to Ridge, Thorsten K., Eric, John McCook, and Steffi, Jacqueline Missinswood, because his guilt got the best of him. Hope took this as a betrayal. She thought Carter was on her side. A nose named Daphne Rose, Muriel Hilaire, was hired to seduce Carter. She ended up falling in love with him. Daphne almost disrupted their relationship. Carter and Hope overcame this obstacle. In a surprising twist, they got engaged. Hope agreed to marry Carter because she believed he was the love of her life. What are your thoughts? Did you like Hope with Thomas more? Or do you like her relationship with Carter? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. For longtime Bold and the Beautiful viewers, few story arcs have stirred more controversy, intensity, and passionate debate than the twisted romance between Hope Logan and Thomas Forrester. Their relationship, built on a foundation of obsession, trauma, manipulation, and ultimately growth, has been one of the show's most polarizing storylines. But there was one defining moment that changed everything, when Hope Logan stood tall, found her voice, and declared her independence from Thomas. In this Flashback Friday, we take you back to that unforgettable episode. One that solidified Hope not just as a fashion designer or a mother, but as a woman who finally chose herself. Act 1. The Build-Up of Obsession. To fully appreciate the magnitude of Hope's declaration, we need to revisit the chaos that led to it. Thomas had returned to Los Angeles under the guise of wanting to reconnect with his son Douglas. But his intentions quickly became clear. He was still obsessed with Hope. Viewers watched as Thomas inserted himself into Hope's life at every turn, manipulating situations, playing the sympathy card, and even using Douglas's sweet affection for Hope as emotional leverage. And Hope, driven by her deep love for Douglas and her innate desire to nurture and heal, fell right into the web. At first, she excused Thomas's behavior as grief-stricken or misguided. But behind closed doors, the red flags were waving. Brooke warned her. Liam begged her. Even Steffi tried to intervene. But Hope remained torn. Tethered to a child she saw as hers, conflicted by guilt, and confused by her own sense of responsibility. Still, Thomas pushed the boundaries. One unforgettable moment was when he staged a romantic dinner with Hope, convinced that she was finally seeing the light. Dressed in a sleek gown he designed just for her, Hope sat across from him, clearly uncomfortable. He presented her with a ring, a proposal, But the look on Hope's face said it all. She wasn't ready. She wasn't even sure she liked the man sitting across from her. Act 2. Hope's Inner War. The heart of this storyline was not just Thomas's obsession, it was Hope's internal battle. This wasn't the naive Hope of past years. She'd endured the pain of losing Beth, the trauma of learning her child had been alive all along, the betrayal of those around her, and the constant pressure of being the good girl. The perfect daughter, the ideal co-parent, the loyal wife, and the devoted mother to a boy she didn't birth but deeply loved. Her heart was fractured, and Thomas knew how to exploit every crack. When Thomas convinced Hope to accept shared custody of Douglas, a move that forced her into more frequent proximity with him, things got tense. Thomas manipulated work schedules, planted stories in the press about their relationship, and even used Douglas's voice-controlled toys to deliver love messages from the boy, when in fact, they were messages from him. But this wasn't a slow descent. It was a pressure cooker, and Hope was reaching her boiling point. She began to isolate. Her relationship with Liam deteriorated. Her confidence in her own judgment wavered, and that's when the mirror shattered. Act 3. The Breaking Point. The scene was set in the Forrester showroom. Hope was overseeing the latest Hope for the Future line. Thomas, as head designer, had turned the professional space into a personal fantasy. Sketches of Hope, mood boards with romantic undertones, music playing softly in the background. The entire space felt like a shrine. That's when it happened. Thomas approached Hope, gentle at first. He praised her vision, her strength. He reached for her hand. "I know you feel it too," he said. "We're meant to be together. You're not with Liam anymore. We're free." Hope pulled her hand back. "No," she said quietly. Then louder. "No, Thomas. I'm not free. I've been trapped. And I'm done." It was a moment few saw coming. For the first time, Hope wasn't soft-spoken. She wasn't placating. She was furious. "You've been manipulating everything, using Douglas, using your job. Using me," she said, voice trembling but eyes fierce. "You don't love me. You love the idea of me, and I'm not your fantasy. I'm not your project. I'm a woman and I get to choose." Thomas was stunned. He tried to interrupt, but Hope wasn't finished. "You used my pain, my grief, my love for your son, and I let it happen because I thought I was being kind. But kindness isn't supposed to destroy people. You destroyed my marriage. You nearly destroyed my self-worth. But you will not take my future." She walked to the middle of the showroom, raised her voice as if to declare it to all of Forrester Creations. "I declare my independence from you, Thomas. From this twisted story. From this control. I'm done." It was as though she ripped off chains. Act 4. Aftershocks. Hope left the room. Left Thomas. Left the toxic weight of that chapter. But that wasn't the end of the drama. It was just the beginning of her transformation. News traveled fast. Rich demanded to know what happened. Brooke embraced her daughter, finally seeing the spark in Hope's eyes return. Liam, watching from a distance, realized the woman he'd fallen in love with was rising like a phoenix. And Thomas, he spiraled. At first, he played the victim, claimed Hope had led him on. Then, in a fit of rage, he fired back, attempting to discredit her design work. But the Forrester family had had enough. Even Steffi, fiercely loyal to her brother, pulled him aside and said, "You need help. You lost Hope. And this time, it's forever." Act 5. Hope Reborn. In the episodes that followed, viewers witnessed something rare in soap storytelling. A female character reclaiming her power without needing a man to do it. Hope redesigned her entire fashion line. She turned Hope for the Future into a brand about empowerment, launching a campaign around Hope Rising, focusing on survivors of manipulation and abuse. She gave speeches, interviewed on podcasts, collaborated with women's organizations. Even Steffi, once her rival, offered praise. And most importantly, she mended her own heart. Not through romance, not through marriage, but through freedom. Final thoughts. The power of saying no more. This episode, the one where Hope declared her independence, wasn't filled with explosions or shocking deaths. But it remains one of the bold and the beautiful's most emotionally explosive moments. It reminded fans that emotional abuse and manipulation can exist even behind beautiful smiles and expensive suits. It showed that women don't need to be rescued, sometimes they need to rescue themselves. Hope's declaration was a turning point. It closed the chapter on Thomas's relentless obsession. It proved that saying no can be the most courageous act of all. And it redefined Hope Logan not as a damsel or a do-gooder, but as a warrior of her own making. Where are they now? In present-day B&B, both Thomas and Hope have evolved. Thomas has undergone therapy and deep reflection, stepping away from his toxic patterns, though some fans remain skeptical. Hope has since explored complicated feelings for other men, but never again at the cost of her independence. There's always the possibility of redemption, of reconnection. But what this flashback reminds us is, no matter what the future holds, Hope once stood in a room that tried to silence her and said, "I choose me." And that choice, it changed everything. Thanks for watching this video and please subscribe our Bold and BAUTFUL UPDAT YouTube channel for more update news.